Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms, and I'm joined here by everybody's here. I think this is the first time. So we've got Heath and Riley Goldman, super fans, Devin Circus, and Jake Circus of the Jake Circus podcast. This is the preseason week 2 Jungle Talk recap. All right, there we go. Hooday, that's there. So, we were talking before we went on, and I had some of the same comments that Devin had. So we'll do the introductions, and I want to circle back to what we were talking about. So, Jake, I know you do some amazing podcasts. Tell everybody where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, Jake Circus podcast, Spotify and YouTube. We're back. One was posted, had a pro gambler on Friday, talked some NFL, college football podcast being posted tomorrow morning. Had a good numbers guy who has tons of models. I'm sure everybody's seen him on Twitter, K Ford. And yeah, it's that time of year. Happy to be back on here. And Mark, less than 3 weeks from today is week 1. So 2 weeks and 3 days ish, more or less, is when we'll do our week 1 previewing Cleveland.
It's going to be, and I don't know if either of you, any of you guys others can join us. We'll get back on that Thursday preview mode, and I'm looking forward to it. So, any opening comments from the Goldmans or Devin?
Riley's heading off to college. We take him back next Saturday, so it'll be interesting to see if we can get him on the East Coast feed sometimes.
Oh, we're gonna have there'll be a square for Riley. So we'll have. Do they do it when there's 5? Is it one in the middle? Does it look like the Brady Bunch, like checkerboard, and Riley be Alice in the middle, or how does that go?
I'm curious. What's everybody doing about YouTube television? The only option?
Yeah,
only option.
Yeah. And
there's no student discounts, at least DirecTV.
No, they just came out the other day. They're going to have it before the season starts. They haven't announced logistics yet. They just came out with that.
I keep waiting for the DirecTV. For those people who have it, you're going to get the Red Zone channel on the NFL Network. Yeah. That's what you're getting. It's included with your sports pack. I called. So, but there's going to be no, games, which is why we're recording right now instead of right after. Was everybody had to watch the replay because we didn't get it live. The first one we had the benefit of the NFL Network, so Heath and I could jump on right after the game and do the show, but we didn't have that benefit. So, Devin, you were talking about something, and I actually have the specifics because I also rewound 3 times thinking that I screwed up. When you get a replay of a game, now DirecTV used to have the whole game in an hour, right? Play to play. There was nothing. How is it that we can't clip that stuff and we have to actually clip drives? Because we went to commercial and came back, and we were at the end of the quarter. We went to commercial, right?
What do you mean for chop?
And then we came back, and it was 11-14, and I was like, you know what? Some of us wanted to see. I don't care if Atlanta had a 3-and-out or whatever it was. I wanted to see those defensive snaps for us. And they did it in the 4th quarter too.
Yeah.
And I didn't make the note, but we came back. We were at 11-14 coming out of the commercial, and the Bengals had the ball back. And I was like, whoa, wait. Didn't we just I think we went for it on 4th down and didn't make it.
Right? That was 4th down in the end zone.
End zone.
What I want to figure out also is, how is 2 hands in the middle of the chest with your back to the quarterback not be pass interference?
I don't know.
4th down play, Heath?
Yeah.
It could have been.
Oh.
But, Mark, the funny thing about that is that we usually talk storylines and takeaways. And my biggest takeaway from the game was the number 1 defense, for the most part, being on the field the first drive. And, we could talk about that drive a little bit. It was definitely typical Bengals, bend but don't break, and do what you need to do at the end to get the turnover. Atlanta's offense looked really good. Bijan looks like he's going to be legit.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder is probably going to be a capable quarterback with tons of weapons. And then at the end, obviously, penalties helping out the Bengals. Atlanta, with a bunch of holds and false starts. Bengals do what they do, get the turnover. I wanted to see the biggest thing for me is I wanted to see who came back out on the field for that second drive. The assumption was the starters weren't going to come back. It was a long 10-minute drive. But yeah, I rewound 3 or 4 times. I even watched the next 10 minutes or so. I'm like, wait, I got to just make sure I didn't screw something up.
I know.
Again. And yeah, we didn't see
find
it.
That 4th time?
What's that?
Did you find it the 4th time?
No.
I put the remote down. I gave the remote to somebody else. But that was my biggest takeaway is the starting defense And then obviously probably the number one storyline in the game was Jonah Williams at right tackle and looking pretty darn good.
Yeah. The it was a battle penalty later on, but and they left him in the game longer. They made him. He was in the game, and I think in the third quarter. Battle taking.
I'm gonna piss Herman off already. I want to ask a question of all of you. I know Mark's favorite line is, in Pollard we trust. Other than Volson, I'm starting to wonder if Pollard hasn't maybe lost something. Because I got to tell you, the offensive line, other than obviously who we've signed as free agents, they're not developing. I think it's something we've really got to take a look at here.
They're bad.
They're bad draft.
They're bad. They were bad. Like Cody Ford, Matt. Cody Ford was someone that we almost took in the second round. We almost we were going to take him if Buffalo hadn't traded up in that draft. He was never good for them. I think he went to a different team for a year. Maybe he was with Buffalo the whole time, got cut, and then we brought him in as a third string guy. I mean, you can look at, I've been watching all these games, and all these teams have their backup linemen in. It's bad football. Like, these guys aren't good. The drop off from first stringers to second stringers, in my opinion, shows more on the offensive line than any other position, maybe outside of quarterback. Yeah. These guys are bad. Like, if especially if there's one or two starters on the opposing defensive line, they're going to get exposed.
Yeah.
Well, overall, Jackson
one thing to add to that, hang on, if I may, Max Sharpring, who played 4, 5, 6 games in the playoffs last year, didn't we pick him up? Didn't Houston release him? Didn't we get him from Houston's practice squad? And
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the year, he was a second string guard all year.
And to respond to your point, Heath, just look at that offensive line that they took to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I mean, one of the worst O lines in football. So I can't put anything on him. It's bad draft picks. Jackson Carman is a train wreck, and you're probably not even going to get his. I've been reading that they're featuring him and playing him throughout the game to try and put some stuff on tape to trade him. Right. I don't even get a 6th-round pick for him. Maybe the Giants have somebody else they can give us, a la BJ Hill. Maybe Aaron Waller. I don't know.
But at least you leave him on the left side. Yeah, on the right side, he was an absolute train wreck last week. I mean, at least on the left side,
he should be left on the bench, is where he belongs.
No. I'm not arguing that he should be on the bench versus the field. But I'm saying if you're going to put him on the field, at least put him on the left side.
Mark, don't we have tape of Heath after the first playoff game last year, after the Baltimore game? Heath saying, "I think we found our starting left tackle next year."
I don't remember.
100%. He played so well in that game and has done nothing since. Hey, what do you want? It's only as good as the game that you're watching, right, Jake?
Right.
So if you look at the offensive line of what we have, I mean, obviously we know who the 5 starters are going to be. We do have tackle depth, which is good because Dante Smith is going to be the backup swing tackle. Right. Adeneji's shown strides. He started back-to-back playoffs due to injuries and just the line being that bad in 2021. And then, of course, there's Lyle Collins. So you have 3 suitable tackles behind, Jonah at right tackle and obviously Orlando Brown at left tackle. But no, the problem is the interior depth, and there's no one there. Ben Brown, Trey Hill, Max Sharping, Jackson Kirkland, and Jackson Carman. Like, those guys... Like, we don't want any of those guys to be playing. And if we have the injuries that we did last year on the interior, that's going to be a problem. And obviously we lost both tackles last year too, and that was the bigger issue. But there is issue with line depth. There's not a single guy outside of the backup tackles that I trust to play in any game.
With all that being said, Jake, I did read something today, and I'm curious what you guys follow much closer than I do. Max Sharping has been taking some reps at center, and they said that he's got some signs of ability there at the center position.
They're saying he's probably the backup center.
Yeah.
But I have a question for Jake. Sorry, we're going to go ahead on that, Jake?
Well, he played center. He had 39 centers. He has 39 center snaps, 26 right guard snaps, and 10 left guard snaps. So he's been a primarily center in the preseason. That's where he's been in camp. It's between him and Trey Hill, who as of now is on the roster bubble. Yeah, he's on the bubble, but so is Sharping. So one of them is going to be backup left guard. One of them is going to be backup center. And then Cody Ford's on that bubble too. So it's a fucking mess.
Jake, if we lose somebody in the middle, what's the likelihood of moving a Lyle Collins or a Jonah inside and having them both playing at the same time?
It would probably be Collins, but he's so big now. I don't know if he can play guard anymore. He's too big.
Right. What's the possibility? And I'm just throwing this out there for like a sign of hope. What's the possibility that, I mean, we're not running anything exotic on our blitz on our protection packages, that we're asking these guys just to play one-on-one, that's part of it. And obviously, you don't have an Orlando Brown next to you. Volson's not out there. I mean, you add a couple more pieces. It's kind of like a group of people. When one person leaves or one person comes, it changes the whole dynamic of it. So I'm hoping that maybe these guys coming in, if one of these guys, if Cody Ford, God forbid, or Carmen has to come in, that they're coming in with a group of better players. They're not coming in with all of our garbage together. I guess that's what I'm saying. And I hate to say garbage because we may be relying on some of these guys down the road, but
they'll play at some point somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, it might not be as bad as we think. I'm still not saying that these guys are great, because it troubles me that these guys are veteran guys. None of these guys are rookies out there getting toasted. Cody Ford has snaps under his belt. Max has snaps under his belt. I mean, these guys, and that's what we're getting. So that's the biggest concern for me, but I'm hoping that maybe, it's
that's a good point. And we our offensive line really figured it out down the stretch last year. And if there were only maybe one injury, maybe we're talking about a different playoff finish, maybe even just two. But no, both tackles go down and then Kappa goes down all within 3 weeks. And yeah, you have to bring in 3 backups. Obviously, Jonah goes down in the Ravens game and Carmen steps in and doesn't play horrible. Apparently that makes him the franchise left tackle. But that's certainly a good point. I mean, obviously the goal is to keep all 5 of them healthy. I mean, if there's a couple of games here and there where Carmen Collins has to move over and hear his number called, not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, that's why they paid Orlando Brown all this money. It's why, Jonah's still there and they didn't trade him where they could have easily traded him, but it's mutually beneficial for Jonah to be here. That's the goal, is to keep everybody healthy.
What happens if Collins comes back healthy and gets put him out on the right side and slot Jonah inside if you had to?
Well, Collins was really bad last year. I think that's just a dull contract at this point. I mean, he's there for depth, but he's not healthy right now. So that's not really an answer to the question.
He wasn't healthy last year. He came in. He had issues at health. So
he played much better when that back started to let him play towards the middle of the end of the season. Well, I
trust Collins a hell of a lot more as a backup, than anybody else we've been talking about. So yeah, it was funny. So Devin and I are kind of watching the replay at the same time, and we're texting back and forth. And he mentions to me about the Jordan Battle penalty before it had happened. So it's a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler because it's preseason. So the battle penalty, you had said, I'm really glad they called this on him, and I hadn't gotten to that point yet in the game. I was a few minutes behind you, and then so I saw the penalty, and I thought, but I felt the same way. Von Bell got called in Chicago on a taunting penalty, and it was like, it changed the game. We had Andy Dalton sacked in the end zone, or at least they would have been punting from the end zone. And instead we got, it changed the game. So I was actually, agreed with you. And that's what I said. We got to do a show. Let's stop this tech thing. Let's do a show at 10 on Sunday, because these are all good points. And you were thinking the same things. I didn't, we were thinking the same things I was thinking. But I was glad they called him, because I think he was out there in the third quarter because of that.
He was out there a lot. And, it's funny. You watch the game, and as a fan, you get caught up in the good plays, the bad plays. And obviously that was a third down play, and then it kept the drive alive. They wound up getting a field goal. You're upset about that. I'm like, wait, it's preseason. That's like when Jake texted me the final score when I was just starting the game. I get pissed at him. I'm like, wait, it's preseason. Why do I really care? I'm not watching the game for the win or the loss anyway. They call that penalty on Battle. And I'm thinking, you know what? That in the long run, that's going to be a great penalty. That's a rookie. That's from a premier institution in college, played at a high level, and somebody's going to pull that kid. The coaching staff's going to light him up. They're going to treat it like he just did it in the fourth quarter of week 16 when you're fighting for the 1 seed, and they're going to pull him aside and make sure that doesn't happen again. Ties into something else I want to quickly say is I read a phenomenal article the other day. I think I sent it to Jake. I don't remember if I sent it to you, Heath, on the veteran leadership that Mike Thomas is providing in the secondary. He had some great comments last week about Tyson Anderson. I always like his son to him, and he had those 2 interceptions. A guy like Mike Thomas is a phenomenal clubhouse guy. He's like the dad to all these young and look, outside of the two starting quarterbacks, we're a very young defensive secondary, and Mike Thomas is doing a great job as a great leader with these guys.
Well, the funny thing about back to your point about Battle, and then we can just move on. It wasn't even his play.
Right. He comes over and gives him the Matumbo, and I think a salute, and it's like, dude, what are you doing?
It was just like I said. It immediately brought back memories of the Von Bell incident in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a different thing. Chicago punts from, basically like a 6-yard drop. If I remember, we sacked Dalton and roughed him up in the end zone. And then, but that wasn't a penalty. It was the standing over him, looking down on him. That got the flag. I was like, Von Bell, what are you doing?
What about the old man Mike Hilton tipping that ball, taking that pick there too? Yeah,
well, no. According to the Atlanta announcers, that was pass interference, even though they mugged our guy.
Oh my God,
that was way more than anything Mike Hilton did.
They did come back from the break and see that the ball was tipped at the line, so it wouldn't have been PI anyway.
Right. So, but I was just
on that play, having Osai dropping back and then coming across on that pick, just seeing our D line have some movement, whether it's not just blitz or protect, it's dropping back into coverage as well. Seeing that is definitely a good sign for this defense.
Yeah. Well, that's how we draft them. We draft defensive ends that can drop back into coverage. So you don't know who's coming.
Osai is incredibly versatile. Plays a lot of different positions, and it's no secret everybody's saying it. Especially coming off the penalty in Kansas City, that dude is gonna have a big year.
That was such a bullshit. You're just in the heat of the game. Anybody who could fault him was just is an idiot. But you know what was interesting? Also, Miles Murphy unfortunately was sick and couldn't play in his hometown of Atlanta. That sucked for him.
Yeah, I just want to touch on this because I took the picture. Because I didn't run, but I took the picture of the first half stats. So this was the troubling thing. The 8 minutes. We had the ball 8 minutes of a 30-minute half. 8:44 to 21:16. Now I know their first possession was like 9 minutes and change because we got the ball with 5 minutes left, 5 and change.
Yeah, it was like 9-4. Yeah, it was just
still. I mean, I think it was 2-1 on plays. So. There was just some troubling things. 1 for 4 on third down. They were 6 for 11. I go with the bend don't break, but you can't let a team convert 50% of the third downs when you're converting 25. And I know it looks better at the end because of some of the drives. So I didn't even look at the end of the game stats because we then converted like 3 or 4 third downs and changed the stat a lot, but it doesn't say half the game. We were literally on there for less than a third of the quarter. We possessed the ball. And 2-1 on plays, that kind of troubled me, especially when the first quarter was starters.
Yeah, and
were we running pure vanilla? Does anybody know?
Well, yeah, yes, we were, but you also have to keep in mind that, like, a lot of people are talking about this backup quarterback race. Jake Browning and Trevor Siemian are bottom or not in the top 45 or 50 of quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, we don't have the benefit of having a Cooper Rush or Mitch Trubisky, where if Burrow goes down for a month, to have faith that we're going to go 4-1. I mean, I know Burrow lost to 2 backup quarterbacks in back-to-back weeks to start the year, but like we don't have like that. These are bad quarterbacks. Both of them have been really bad in the preseason. Chase Brown averaging 1.8 yards to carry behind backup offensive line is annoying. But I'm not really that concerned. Like, the Bengals weren't a really good running team last year, but we'll see. But yeah, like it's a lot of vanilla. They're not going to throw the kitchen sink on these games, and taking it play by play, focusing on reps, I would say. And there are some good things though, is that we continue to have the deepest and youngest and best receiving group, not even close, in the entire league.
Oh, no,
with Chuck and the Princeton guy. I mean, shit.
Vucevic sounds like a tennis player, but he's fun to watch.
Yeah, no. Our receiving core, he's been he's on the team for sure. I can't imagine.
Oh yeah,
I didn't understand, and this is where we get back to the backup quarterbacks. Siemian throws him the ball. He throws it to his waist. This is a guy, you throw it so he goes up and gets it. He showed you that he can go get the contested ball, and here you are throwing it low to him. That I was just shaking my head. And that's the problem with Simeon. You looked at some of these little dump off passes. Even though he completes the pass, he puts it in a terrible location. The running back has to go down to the ground or down to his knee to catch it. So he has to literally come to just a crawl, loses all his momentum. I mean, the whole idea of dumping it out is that you hit him in stride. Both of these, Heath and I said the same thing last week. If Burrow goes down, God forbid, and we have a 4-game stretch, we don't have a Bridgewater coming into 4-0. I would be ecstatic if one of these guys could go 2-2. There's a chance we lose all 4 or go 1-3. The quarterbacks we have don't instill any type of confidence that we could weather Burrow going down.
Absolutely. You know, it's bad when Bengals fans are actively watching the San Francisco Niners waiver wire to see if Brandon Allen gets released.
Right.
But here's a name of a quarterback that's out there, and Jake's head might explode when I say this. Why not bring in like a Carson Wentz as a backup?
I was
watching every dollar for the extensions we've got to give out, but I can't imagine at this point if Carson Wentz wants to play football, he wouldn't come in for a couple million.
He would come into our team. I mean, we're
what
for a couple million on a backup quarterback
for 1 year. Who cares? The extension's going to affect next year anyway,
dude. If Carson Wentz is playing for the Bengals, we have issues.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, that's the issue we're talking about. KB's down.
So, but why not like a Nick Foles? Why not somebody who's got some legitimate postseason experience? I don't think he's great, but are you telling me that Nick Foles is worse than Simeon and Browning?
When it's all said and done, put it in the hands of a U of A guy, and you'll be well taken care of.
If Burrow goes down, I'm not watching the games. I don't want to see these bums.
No,
this is over.
No, we'll weather the storm. We're Bengals fans. Okay, we don't write off the season, but I'm telling you, I have zero faith in these guys. If I had to pick one of the two, I would probably pick Browning only because he's got the ability to scramble. He gets out of a lot of trouble, and he does have legs. So on that one drive at the end of the game where we took he was 77 yards, I think, of the drive, and 60 of them were on 2 or 3 scrambles. So
the interception before that drive was terrible, though.
Yes, it was horrible. I even have that in my notes.
Walk back here a second. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, the kid from Purdue, I'm blanking on his name, Charlie Jones. I mean, at some point, all you got to do is deliver a ball to maintain it. I don't want to see the guy go down for the whole season, but you go 2, 3, 4 dimes, you got to have somebody that can deliver the ball. I mean, we're loaded on offense.
And that was my point about Simeon, is that even the simple pass, even though it's complete and you see it complete in the stats, if you watch the play, it's like that play didn't work because of where you put the ball.
Right.
Simeon has no ability to play.
There's so much subtleties to the great quarterback. There's a play that I'm forgetting where somebody, I want to say Trenton Irwin was slightly underthrown in the end zone. I think it led to a field goal. Defender had great coverage, but there was a slight opening. And it was a fine throw, nothing wrong with it. And it was defended. A guy like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, they hit that guy. And, that's the difference. But to your point, Heath, we don't have that guy on the roster right now that will just hit these guys.
I know you guys are Pac-12 guys. Jake Browning in a year's time will be forever enticed as the last Pac-12 quarterback to ever make the college football playoff. I know you guys are Pac-12 guys, and in a year's time, it's not going to exist anymore. So Jake Browning has to mean a lot to you guys. So he will, because I don't think a Pac-12 team is going to make the playoff this year. So I think Browning is going to be the last representative of the Pac-12 in the college football playoff for the rest of time.
I know we're a Bengals station. You don't think SC makes the playoffs this year?
I mean, come on, with Caleb Williams, if he stays healthy.
No, I think they lose 3 times. I don't think they make Vegas.
Interesting. All right. Mark that one down, Herman.
All right. We've got
Devin, I hope he's right, but I hope he's right, but I don't know.
Nuggets. That's on the list
we got
of Nuggets.
Jackson Carman starting left tackle, and we got SC 3 losses. Got it.
Okay, so
No, that was last season. Jackson Cartman tackle, dude. Last season.
Yeah, but you said he was going to be our starting left tackle this year.
I said that last season.
Correct. No,
You
no.
can't
I
hold
said in the
to- this is a
playoff
new
game
season.
last year that he's going to start this year at left tackle.
I just want to comment on one other thing. We had Evans and Brown returning kickoffs. So Evans actually got a return, and it was actually a pretty good return. He got
Yeah, it was a great return
like the
down the right
35 or
sideline.
40-yard line. Brown, if I recall, only had touchbacks. So we didn't see Brown actually return the ball, but it was curious that he was back there. So I don't know. I personally would like to see Brown not returning kicks. I think he should be the backup to Mixon. And I think because Evans, we know what we have, and he should make the team. Absolutely. But I would like to see him returning punts and being the number 3 running, or returning kickoffs and be the number 3 running back. That would be my that's where I think we're headed. But it was
Jake's
interesting to
looking
have
at
them
the
both
clock.
back there returning kicks.
No, I'm looking at the kick return numbers, and I'm still, like, the last 2 years, I've still been surprised that Alex Erickson doesn't find himself on that list anymore. So as long as it's not him, we're fine.
Right.
Mark, on that point, I've been reading, starting to see projected rosters, and I don't know, I'm not an expert on how many you keep at each position, but typically I think you just keep 3 running backs, and that's what I've been reading. Mixon, obviously Brown's a lock. Evans was on the roster bubble when the season started, or when the preseason started, and Evans has been good in pass protection, and either Mixon or Brown do that. But Travion Williams has been the best at pass protection. Is he going to be on his way out, or you think we keep 4 running backs? Anybody who knows more about that than me?
It's tough.
Yeah, I think
Charlie
we have to sneak him to the practice squad, but we might not get him there. That's the problem.
Charlie Goldsmith did his updated 53-man projection. He has Brown as the second string, Evans at 3 with Travion on the PC or the PS.
Right. So
we'll see.
Who's going to be who's going to not make that roster that's going to surprise you, Jake? I haven't looked at the 53 cut.
So he has Adeniji as practice squad and Mike Thomas on practice squad. Everybody else isn't going to be a surprise. I mean, well, Stanley Morgan,
he's gone.
Isn't on this. He's gone because there's just no room for him on special teams because of all the receivers we have. So, like, well, okay. I mean, the Jones and Eviosas, Princeton guy, Mr. Brilliance. Oh, it's not how you say his name.
Yes, it is.
Osevich?
Josevich.
Okay. Wow, you learn something new every day. Anyways, they have to play special teams. If they're bad on special teams, there's issues. So we'll see.
I always say the kid from Princeton, if I'm not sure on the pronunciation. So I mispronounced Ogunjobi so many times that I just started calling him Obi-Wan, and that was it. That became my nickname for him. But if there's ever in doubt, if I don't know the yardage, it's midfield. And if I don't know the person, it's the kid from whatever school I can remember he came from. And Princeton's an easy one to remember. So no, we have, like I said, we have a crowded wide receiver room. So there's guys that are gone. It's just, there's no way around it.
Trent Irwin make the team?
Who?
Irwin.
Trent Irwin?
Yeah, he's a lock.
Oh, he's number 4.
Yeah. So
he's ahead of Jones and Josevich right now.
Yeah. And then Trent Taylor's on his way out, most likely.
The only other thing I have, and it's positive, so I saved it for the very end, is the 2-minute offense, both at halftime and at the end of the game, was better than last week. I mean, we actually showed signs. We moved the ball and scored on both possessions inside the last 2 minutes. So I thought that was something positive. Like I said, it's preseason. I know I'm reaching for stuff, but that was one of the things I had down.
All right, last reach, and Jake's guy. I got to get the hell out of here. Sample had a catch and a fight for some extra yards on the right sideline.
Yes, he did. Matter of fact, I looked and I said, which tight end is that? You know, because he hasn't.
And he's still a blocking tight end.
Yes.
If Irv Smith goes down, Drew Sample is not the answer.
No.
I should say when Irv Smith goes down.
So, hey, come on, let's be positive. We have he came off a staff that didn't have as good of trainers as we have.
There you go.
So that's what we're going. Hey, the Ravens. Then they switched their entire training and strength crew after last year. I think they didn't. Don't they have a whole new crew?
Well, they need to change their turf.
So because no team has suffered more injuries than them, and that's and most of them are early on.
The AFC North is going to be a juggernaut this year.
Yeah. So
The yellow and the mustard and black is not the weakling anymore. The way they put some numbers up.
no.
We'll see.
So we shall see. All right. Any last minute comments? Oh, before I forget, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's always asked. Should have said it in the beginning. It's early in the morning here. We've got the tropical storm in Los Angeles in August hitting us today. But yeah, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's always asked. Hit the bell. You'll get the notifications. Jake and I are going to be doing, and whoever else wants to come in, we'll be doing the previews Thursday. Heath and I will be doing the recaps after the game, and hopefully we have some of you jumping in on those. But just
had a lot of views last week. You said, Mark. Huh?
What's that?
Had a lot of views last week. You said.
Yeah, we did pretty good. But we put it up right after the game, so that's usually a help for us. Because we're usually available right after. Today it's a day later. I apologize. And please hit the thumbs up. It helps us out with the algorithm at YouTube. Please.
Hey, you've got Devin sitting here in Phoenix. Mark and I are talking about heading to Phoenix. So if you're heading to Phoenix, put some comments in the section and let's get a big tailgate going there.
Well, and I think Devin said you were going to go to the Bay Area. Is that still on?
I'm probably going to do that one. Heath, you don't know this yet. It's freaking Jake's fraternity's dad's weekend when the Bengals are in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So does that mean, Jake, you're coming in back to Phoenix with your dad to hang out with him?
No,
Nope.
I asked him this already. It's like, yeah.
Mark, before you wrap up really quickly, and I promise I'll be quick.
No.
Heath and I have been friends before these two kids were even born, long before these two kids were born. Jake, good luck your senior year of college. I know you're starting classes this week. Riley, I know you got a little bit of time, but you're heading out in the next couple of days. Good luck your freshman year, boys. Or
Yes.
Good luck your freshman year to you, and good luck generally, boys.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
So, all right, well, we'll be back with I don't know. Maybe we'll do something after the third preseason game, and then obviously we're gonna have our season preview. So, Jake and you and I will talk about how we want to break up those two shows.
Last comment, Mark. Devin was this kid's age when I first met him.
Wow. Okay.
True statement.
That's decades.
And Heath was Jake's age.
I have some friends like that. Where I'm actually turning 60. I'm 9/11. Last year I was opening day. All I wanted was a win, and we lost to the Steelers. So I was pissed off on my birthday. This year,
I remember that.
Yeah. So this year it's the Monday night opener, but I'm turning 60, and I have friends that I've known for junior high school, middle school now. I think I call, but 48. I've known them 48 years. I didn't know them my first 12. It's unbelievable.
That's great. You're right, Devin.
You have friends like that.
I was a senior when you were a freshman. Jake and Riley's age. That's crazy.
And Mark,
boys, Who Day? Let's everybody stay healthy and have a great season.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
What are you gonna say, Devin?
I was just going to say you turned 60. I turned 50 a month after you.
Well, so I feel you know what? I'm not happy about this number, but it's just a number. So, it is. But yeah, I'm not thrilled about having the 6 in front of my. 50 was bad enough. Now I'm going to have a 6. I don't know. So we shall see. But please subscribe. Check out the Jake Circus podcast. We'll be back with more content. I'm going to say, hoot, everybody.
Who Day?
Hey.
Take care.